Alright,
It's going.
Trying to go off memory for our insulins, right? So there's 4 that we mainly have to pay attention. Hopefully there's only the 4 that we have to pay attention. So we have different insulins, right? So we have our insulins. So we have 4, right? Which is our rapid acting insulin.
Oh, fuck.
Lispro? Lispro. Okay, perfect. So we have Lispro. And one way that we can look, do you guys know the brand name of Lispro?
It's
Humalog.
Humalog.
Humalog. So
And
what?
Admilog?
Admilog, yes. So the biggest things that you guys should pay attention to is the suffix log, right? So this is our rapid. This is our rapid right here. Humalog. One way that I used to remember Humalog and a Lispro and all that, and it's being our rapid, is that I picture a professional woodsman, right? Like a professional woodsman, and that professional woodsman, the pro, is chopping a log.
Mm-hmm.
The log then falls, and it falls rapidly because it's a big log. That's my way of remembering it. Lispro, a professional woodsman, that's chopping a log and it falls fast. So, big things. We have our onset, we have our peak, we have our durations, right? So, for me, the best way, unfortunately, there is really no, to begin, there's no way but to really easily remember, but it's just something that you're just going to have to remember. But once you remember your onset, for me, it's a lot easier to remember your peak and your duration. So our onset is typically going to be 15 to 30 minutes. That's, it's not impossible to remember that. It's fairly straightforward, right? Now, the thing that is nice about the chart that she gave us is that they work right off of each other. So in this case, it's 15 to 30 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our next onset, do you guys know I'm sorry, not onset, the peak. Do you guys have an idea of what the peak would be? Because they work right off to each other.
Bro,
and it's a rapid one.
Off the limited time I've spent looking at it, I wanted to say it was like 30, 60.
Yep, 30, so it's 30 minutes to 60 minutes, or an hour, obviously. Right, so we have 30 to 60, right? That's a 96. So, there we go, right? So that's it's piggybacking off. Now, there's really no other angle for the duration, but one of the biggest things that I use to remember it is I use the 3 right here, and I use the 5, because that is our onset, our duration for this. I use, because there's a hint in this, 3 and 5, so it's 3 to 5 hours.
Mm.
And you can check on the list if you want to make sure that that's right.
I mean, I'm sure you're right, but my list
I'm
is
not a pro.
My list is buried under here, so hang on, we got camera difficulties. You're drawing my on that for a second, or just setting it down somewhere?
You can pause it if you want.
With the thing on that.
Yeah. Actually, I can give you minutes for onset, a peak of 30 to an hour, and then a duration of 3 to 5. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rapid. It's Insulin, Lispro, Admilog, right?
Humalog.
Mm-hmm.
Or
It says
Admilog.
Admilog, Humalog.
Yeah.
And then rapid, 15 to 30 minutes, 0.5 to 1 hour, 3 to
Yes.
5. We have subcutaneous 5 to 10 minutes before a meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could get to that later. We just want to know the times right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so now we have our short-acting one, right? So what is our short-acting insulin?
Regular.
All right, perfect. Regular. So we have just regular insulin. What are the brand names of our regular?
Is it Humalin?
It's the one
Humalin?
that's the one part.
Yeah, so we have Humalin, and another one is Novolin. Those are our brand names. Humalog, there is a Novolog, but that is not Lispro. That's Aspart something, but we don't, she didn't highlight that one,
Yeah.
so we don't have,
It's
yeah.
human R, right?
Yeah, oh, sorry about that, yeah. R. The longer acting or the intermediate, that one's our N, but we're good with that. Actually, one of the ways that I use to remember well is when I put regular and I have our isophane, if I recall right, that's our NPH, which is NPH. And then it's the same brand, but there's just an N added to instead, right? So I use these two to work right off of each other for the onset, peak, and duration, right? So the nice thing is that if you make this chart, you have kind of a hint where to start from here. So for our regular insulin, we have an onset of about 30 to 60 minutes or an hour. So that's our onset, that's how we start. This is how I like to do it. I start right here, I go here, then here, then here, then here, then here. So it's like you're working off of each other, and thankfully you have a hint starting on this side, right? So, and you know, and it makes sense in a sequential way. You know, as we're going higher and the duration takes longer, they're going to be working off of each other in like the onset or the peak or whatever. So we have our 30 to 60. Do we know from where do we go from here for the NPH? Do you guys
You mean
recall?
peak?
Yeah,
Or
no,
on-
onset. We're still on onset.
1 to 2 hours?
Perfect, yeah, so it's 1 to 2 hours, so we have 1 to 2 hours now. Okay, we're working off of each other. Now we're going over here. We have a hint right here. What are we gonna do right here?
2 to 4 hours?
So perfect. So yeah, it's 2 to 4 hours. Right there. Okay, this is where it gets a little more interesting. So, what's up in class? Alrighty, so from here now we have another hint. We have our 4 hours, right? We have 4 hours. If I recall right, this time, unfortunately, you're just gonna have to remember this. It's 12 hours.
1 plus the 2, right? We can do that from the beginning.
Oh, yeah, you know what? That's perfect. I didn't even look at that until right now. Yeah, perfect. It's 4 because we're working off of our last one. We have here, we have here. And then now 1 and 2, so we have 12 hours. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going off of here. For duration, one way I look at it, by going in just sequential order, what's the next number after 4?
5.
So it's 5, right? What's 2 times 4?
8.
5 to 8 hours of duration.
I haven't even had time to look at this.
No,
He's
he's
explaining it really well.
He said farm. I was like a fish, bro.
Okay, so from this one, there's really kind of no other way around it, but you're just going to have to know this. But one way I look at it is there's a little hint right here. We have an 8, right? We obviously can't start from 8 hours down here. But, you know, we can have, just using the 1, because we're going to be going off of the tens place now, and we have an 8. We have 18 to 24 hours of duration for the run. Right. That's my best way. There's really no other, but there's a little hint. You know, we're obviously not going to work backwards. We're going to go forward. We have an 8 right here because we're working, again, the biggest key right here is we're working off of the last thing, whether it's we're going across or we're going kind of like this. Best way I can do it, I mean, if I'm able to, like in the test, I'll just write out, like I'll have a scratch paper. I don't think she'll care. And if you can do this from memory, you can only have to worry about doing this one time, write it all on a piece of paper from memory, and now you don't have to worry about it because 1, we'll try to make it as accurate as possible, and you have it there, so you can just reference off of it quickly, because they said this, this, and this are very important, and we need to get these right. So if you find out the way to like kind of hop off of each other, we should be all right. So now we have our last one, right? So we did rapid, short, and intermediate. Now we need our long-acting ones. So she gave us 2. But what is the generic name for our insulin that's long acting?
Georgie?
Glargine. So for me, the best way I could think of for glargine is I think of gangrene. Now, does gangrene happen immediately? Not really. It takes a little longer, right? And she gave us 2 brands. She gave us Lantus, and she gave us Tuojo?
Toujeo.
Toujeo.
Yep.
Tuujeo. So yeah, Tujo, I guess.
Yeah.
So the Lantus, for here, there's really no other way to do it other than just memorize it. For me, I just memorized that its onset is 1.5 hours.
So
That's-
in between 1 and 2, right?
What's up? Yeah, we could kind of look at that, but I mean, if it was halfway of one, like 1 and 2, yeah, perfect, actually. That's, yeah. So halfway in between, because again, we're working off of each other, that's perfect. I'm dumb, I didn't even fucking look behind that, but.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Now I'm like, oh man, I didn't look at that, but, okay. As for our onset for this one, the best part is that because they're longer sets, they're working off of each other, you just need to remember what is Tojo's, or how the hell you say it, and it's 6 hours. That one is 6 hours. Now, don't even pay attention to these. Just for this one, what's the number when you double 6? So 6 plus 6.
12, right?
So it's 12 hours.
It's long.
It's a 12 hours because it's longer acting. What happens when you double 12 with 12? So it's 24 hours of coverage. For this one, there is no peak. And it's just 24 hours because again, it's long acting. And that's my way of remembering it. So for our mixes, because we're not done yet, so we have our mixes, right? For the most part, there is just 2 separations, right? We have our MPH that gets mixed with our Lispro or our regular. We can do those. Now, the ones that are regular, they typically have the same onset, peak, and duration, but with rapid, it's a little faster. So for our mixes, right, if I recall right, our mixes are going to be, it's going to end with log, right? So we have, if I recall right, it's Huma log 50-50, if I recall right. So we'll do Huma log, and it's 50-50. Please double check me with the names because I'm not too confident on.
I don't even know where to find the mix.
I know, because they didn't really give us. But again, the good thing is that someone in the Discord established a pretty good onset, peak, and duration. So for this one, if I recall right, it is 5 to 20 minutes of onset for this one. Yeah, because it's fast. It's part of our logs. We have our logs. Yeah. For our peak.
Talking about this, right?
Yes, I'm actually using that one. So for our peak, if I recall right, because it's short acting, it's 1 to 2 hours of peak. And then for our duration, they're both going to be the same. It's 10 to 16 hours. Now for our regular, whether it's Novolin or Humulin, it's kind of both the same way. They could be 70-30 or 50-50, but they're going to have the same onset, peak, and duration. So Humulin, so we'll just say Humulin 70-30, and because those take a little longer, because it's a mixture of both NPH and regular insulin, we're going to use, if I recall right, it's 30 minutes to an hour for onset. We're going to use the 2 earliest times for onset because we're mixing these 2. So its onset will be 30 to an hour. So 30 to 60 minutes. We're using the earliest time, right? For our peaks, we're using our earliest times. Well, I'm sorry. We're going to use our earliest time for regular, which is 2. And our latest time, which is 12. So we're going to have 2 to 12 hours of coverage, if I recall right. I wanna be sure, I'm not sure about that one, so I might have to erase that. But at least with this one, it's 10 to 16 hours of coverage. It's either that or it's 2 to 4. Please correct me if I'm wrong. For the peak of Himalayan 70/30.
70/30. 30 minutes to an
That's
hour.
correct.
For
2
the
to
peak
12. Peak, yeah.
of Himalayan 70, so Himalayan are
Himalayan 70/30, yeah. Peak 2 to 12.
it is 212?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so there it is. This is entirely our whole grid, what we need to learn.
But, this is a 10/16, or is it 24?
On this one that I'm looking at, Himalayan 70.
Under?
Wait, which one?
These are the mixes are right here. These are just the.
Does it have mix?
I'm gonna pause it.
No, it did not. You know, for these other things, so. Ian, you weren't here for the first part, but what we're mainly establishing, I mean, just so you get a person, is that
Go ahead, one more time.
the biggest thing, so without looking at the brand, do you recall List Pro's brand?
No, I haven't touched this at all.
Okay, no worries. Just to kind of get your mind started a little bit, what I like to think is List Pro, right? You are aware that this one's rapid though. At least that, like minimum, you should be aware of that, and then from there, now it's going to give you a hint. So, List Pro, I think of a professional woodsman
What's new?
that has an axe.
Okay.
He's chopping a log. When they're done with the log, what happens to the log? It falls rapidly. So that's my way of remembering anything that ends with log in these, it's List Pro and it's rapid. Okay? For all of these, as you saw earlier, we're working off of the most
I
recent
noticed,
thing.
I know, when you pointed that out, I was like.
That is something
that's a
really
good
big.
pattern. That's
Because
a good
if you catch that pattern,
It's over.
you can make this happen.
You can make
15
the
to
whole-
30. Okay, we're done with that. Now we're gonna go 30 to 60 because it's rapid. And then we have a hint for our hours, 3 to 5 hours of duration. That's our we're using this
Each other, yeah.
individually as a reference. Now from here to figure out, because what I like to do, I like to put short and intermediate, both regular and pH insulin together in like this big square, right? And I like to go off of the onset for our rapid, 30 to 60, because it's going to be 30 to 60 now, because it's a little longer than rapid. Now we're going off of this one. It's going to be minimum an hour. It's going to go to 2. We're chilling. Now we're going to go over here. So the way it goes is, in terms of arrows, we got this, we got here, we got this, and then these are just more individual. Because, but for this one, it helps you understand again. So what's the next number after 4?
Okay.
What's 2 times 4?
8. Oh.
So again,
That's good.
it helps, like a little bit.
Good pattern.
Yeah.
You see good pattern.
My best way of looking at it with the 18, we have an 8 right here. We're obviously not working backwards. We're not going to have a duration that's less than our peak. So we have an 8, it's 12. What's the number in the tens, like, you know, in your tens place that has 1 and 8, you know, that's it's 18. And then because it's an NPH, it's a longer duration, it's 24 hours. And then these, you know, we're just working off of each other. So if you want to take a picture, I'm trying to get these a little bit more.
Yeah.
To kind of give you an idea of the
Yeah,
flow.
the pattern.
For these, you know, we're working off of human log, right? So our rapid onset. This one, you just need to know it's 5 to 20. Like, that's it. Like, but once you know you're 5 to 20, now you know what your peak is going to be. Because look, we're going to have the same end with onset of NPH, then our, you know, our peak of rapid. So that's, you kind of get tied a little bit, but at least it'll help you kind of go off of it. They're going to last a couple hours, but this one, the good thing about our Humalins, you know, our regular insulin with NPH, we can use the 30 to 60. That's what it is, the 60, the 30 to 60 minutes or an hour. And then here, 2 to 12, 2 to 12, because we're using these two together. 2 to 12,
So
2 to 12. And then for this one, you just, for both, you need to know they're both 10 to 16. They're both 10 to 16. It doesn't really change. They're their own individual. Yeah. But that's just for Glargine,
Yeah.
or Glargine, or however the fuck you say it. But yeah, so
I got the 24 hours for the
for what?
70